you sort of look at the people above you and you're like, do I really want to be there in 20 years? I love the people above me, but the answer was no.
How do we productize and reduce the time that we spend in a business? A lot of people are thinking this, especially people in service businesses.
So it's probably at a point where I either need to hire someone to track it all for me, or I put everything that I do, everything that I know into software. I just locked myself in my room for the weekend and was like, I'm just going to put everything that I know into a product. Like, this is the next step.
Welcome to the DevReady Podcast, where we're helping non-techs build great tech. Today we're joined by Danielle. Danielle runs a paralegal business, Fractional, to support other businesses as well as business development services. Danielle's going through the process of productizing and creating a product and a digital product and service offering in the software space. Luckily, SaaS, haven't talked about it too much, but we'll unpack that a little bit now. There comes a point in the journey when a lot of service-based businesses look to unpack and maybe productize. And I think it's been a really good conversation because we haven't got to commercial yet, not in front of clients, we're in development, but it should be a bit of fun. Danielle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Before we jump in a little bit, let's tell the audience about who we are, our background, and how we got into the world of what we call early stage startup.
Yeah, of course. So I have a fractional paralegal and business development business, and that's under Marple Co. And then we have a media arm where I spotlight founders called By the Founder.
Mhm.
And now it's sort of evolving from doing the fractional work to building software. So that I can scale and that it's more than just a job. At the moment, it's just me. So putting it all into software, I'll be able to take on more clients and do more work.
And that's the hope, yeah. So it's, all
Yes.
right, we're in service, how do we really get ourselves out there without growing people? Because as a service business, effectively, yes, we are selling time. That's 80% of our business is selling time. 20% is recurring revenue models through some products that we have. But yeah, it is always, all right, how do we productize and reduce the time that we spend in a business? It's a lot of people are thinking this, especially people in service businesses. Firstly, Danny, how did you get into the point of just opening up your first business? What was the thinking? What was your background? How did you get there?
I mean, I've always been experimenting on ideas since I was a kid. And then I was working in a corporate job, and you sort of look at the people above you and you're like, do I really want to be there in 20 years? And I love the people above me, but the answer was no. And I had a few different health conditions at the time, and I was like, honestly, like, even if I wanted to stay in corporate, like, I'm probably not well enough to just stick it out. So I was like, if we're going to start a business, now is the right time. And I'm just going to try all these different businesses. And when something works, I'm just going to go all in. And that's how it took off.
That's how it all started. Health okay now? Everything going okay?
It's complicated.
Okay.
I go to
Yeah.
a medical research institute, which is
Okay.
called WeHi.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, WeHi is a really great facility. They kind of look after
Yeah.
all of the conditions that they don't know how to deal with.
Oh, well. Oh, good luck with everything. That sounds like it's a tricky sort of thing that you're working through all the time. Now, taking that leap into a business is always can be a bit daunting, but you sort of jumped in trying to work out on the fly. Let's talk a little bit about that because a lot of people do this. We jump into business and then we're working it out. So start a fractional paralegal, and then you mentioned you sort of jumping into some business development support for some clients as well. What does fractional paralegal mean? Are you just available for people to contact, call on a monthly retainer? What is the model for you?
Yeah, it's just normally a monthly retainer. And the way that I started it was all these things sort of didn't work out in the corporate environment. I didn't have a job. I left my job, and then this other opportunity didn't work out. And it was like, well, I don't want to go back to the corporate world. What can I do? So I just started calling up all my lawyer contacts and was like, hey, I've worked with you in the past. Do you want to work with me at a discounted rate? Because I will just do a couple hours a week, and it's probably better than what you can normally get full time. So because I had quite a lot of experience in the paralegal space,
Yep.
They're normally getting paralegals with 1 or 2, 3 years experience. I'm like, I
Hmm.
can bring 6, 7 years experience. I'll do it in a shorter period of time. I'll work weekends, late nights, and that's how I got started.
That's how you get started. Yeah, we just have sacrifice at the beginning, don't we, to get started. Now,
Yeah.
at what point did you go? So you've been working in this business for about a year, give or take. Is that about right? Yeah.
Mm.
Software. Why software? Why did we think, okay, let's build a product? What was that sort of thinking for you that said, I really need to do something? Was there a problem, or was there we're just experimenting back to you love experimenting?
I do love experimenting. The What I was doing in the paralegal world was great, but it was still selling time for money.
Hmm.
So where I saw the opportunity was the lawyers I was working with were like, well, if you can bring in work, we will give you an introduction fee or sometimes a percentage of the first year revenue from that client. And I was like, okay, this
Okay.
is
Yeah.
where the actual money is going to be because, one introduction that could be an easy $500, $1,000
Hmm.
rather than hourly rate, and it was less use of my time. So then doing all that, it's really hard to track all the different introductions and everything, and
It
also
would be.
following people up.
Mm.
And, people say that they'll pay you, but
Hmm.
then, might forget and it gets caught in their account system.
Hmm.
So now I'm building the software to capture every introduction.
Hmm.
And I have partners, I have accounting partners, software partners, legal partners, and we're doing, yeah, introductions over all different industries, not just the legal industry, and it's being captured by the software, so
Brilliant.
that actually
Okay.
that
Yeah.
so that I can get paid.
Yeah, so solving a problem for yourself, which is great, and it then it becomes how big that problem is globally, or it just even in Oz. Have you gone through the process of doing some market research in this space as to what this could look like?
My market research is talking to all the clients that I work with and
Mm-hmm.
then who they know. So a lot of service-based businesses, they'll have a memorandum of understanding with another business,
Mm-hmm.
that it might be we send each other clients and it's a mutual arrangement, or
Mm-hmm.
it could be if I send you a client, I get a commission or a payment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then these agreements are easy to put in place, but then actually tracking that and getting paid from that is where people are getting stuck. And so they
Mm-hmm.
have, 100 different partnerships and agreements, and actually nothing ever comes from it. And there's two sides to this where, you're not getting paid, but then also it's not good for the relationship to have things, drop off and not being tracked. And it might just be like a simple admin error or communication issue. But if you actually have these really strong relationships and you're getting the proper commission and introduction fee, that just builds this, yeah, the connection is so much stronger.
It builds the process, yeah, of course, because effectively you are driving and supporting that business in terms of creating more revenue for them. So I get the problem that you're sort of targeting here. How have you thought about it in terms of productizing it? What do you see is going to be different in a product versus just manually tracking these things? How do you see it working?
Well, the way I saw it working was I was probably at a point where I either need to hire someone to track it all for me, or
Mm-hmm.
I put everything that I do, everything that I know into software.
Mm-hmm.
So from the introduction email, it's all tracked. Um, the memorandum of understanding, we have that all in the system, just so everyone's aware. And then there's also notes and everything in the system that I do for business development. Like I always take people's coffee order and notes about them, and I have all
Mm-hmm.
these notes in my notes app. And so now I've put it into the
Put it in
system
there. Yeah,
so
okay.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, when I catch up with these
That's
people that are partners, I know what coffee they're going to get.
So it's a partnership management platform, somewhat CRM, really, that you're
Yeah.
developing here. Yeah, yeah, okay. Do the partners have access to their own sort of referrals that you've added to them, or how are you seeing that?
Yes, so you
Yeah.
can track each introduction both ways. Normally, you would probably refer to lawyers or accountants, and you can see every introduction you've made, and then also every introduction they've made to you,
Hmm.
and then get monthly reports on that so that you can send it to your accounts team and, make the payments accordingly.
In terms of building a product like this, how did you start, Danny? There's a lot of people out there that are starting in many different ways. I'd love to hear how you began this process of trying to build this product.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
I just I normally
mm,
I normally come up with something when I'm going through something. So I was having a tough time
mm,
and I just locked myself in my room for the weekend and was like, I'm just going to put everything that I know into a product. Like
yeah,
this is the next step. So I used Replit, which is a vibe coding tool, as you probably know. It's actually pretty good, and you
yeah.
don't need any coding skills. So I had a full MVP ready. And then as soon as the Monday came around, I met with software developers and was like, yep, this is what I want to build. Let's go. And it's all here, everything's ready. And then we
Mm.
obviously did a little bit of ideation and got a few things out of it, but it was pretty much all there. And that's just from experience, right? I've done so many introductions. I've done, so like hundreds of introductions between industries. I knew exactly what I needed, and I just put it into a product.
It's amazing what the vibe coding world's doing and enabling people like yourself that are non-technical to do. We're seeing a lot of this flow
Yeah,
through. So a lot of people are throwing ideas at these things, getting 50, 60, 80% of a product. And then, okay, how do I actually commercialize this now? What do I do? So we're getting a lot of that flowing through. It's quite fascinating what people are able to do. We'd normally get code from an offshore team or another development team that's half done, but now it's from AI being half built or close to built. How do we fix it, solve it? Maybe personalize it a little bit more for ourselves. Replit's great. There's a lot of tools that people are using. Base 44, Lovables. They're probably the top three that most people come to us with. How did you find the experience of working with Replit? What was it like for you?
um, I really like Replit. I don't know why. It just worked for me a lot better than Lovable. I found Lovable, I couldn't really customize it, and if I tweaked something, then everything else would come undone.
Would come undone. Yeah, you sort of go in loops sometimes with AI. It can happen quite effectively, easily, where you tell it to do something and it does something else. So you found that was
Yeah.
okay with Replit, worked better for you.
Yeah, Replit definitely worked better for me. And it's just really easy to use. It did everything that I wanted it to do. Um, and it was great for the communication piece. So as soon as I went to a software developer, it's very easy for me to communicate the idea. Whereas in the past, I've gone to maybe another company or a developer and tried to communicate my idea, and what they produce is not what I wanted. So being able to have the full visual for them to get the feel of it, yeah, it's a massive advantage.
That is a huge opportunity for the comms piece, and I agree because we're using these tools now with early stage clients just to build UIs quickly because that's a quick way to just implement something and showcase it. And I agree, it's easy to express and communicate it without going through the original process. Would be let's build a design in Figma, let's scope out all the features and functions and slowly work through it. Now you can spin up quick screens, show people what it's going to look like in minutes, not days, and that just speeds up the whole entire process, really, which is exciting. And I'm imagining we're going to see a lot more product in the market, and different things and very niche products and opportunities for people to get a hold of something that's specific to them a lot more, or even people building more products that are very specific to them. So going down that path again, I feel like the opportunity of a business like yourself to be able to pick up and build something just for you, and then try to commercialize. But we're starting to see businesses say, okay, I'm paying licenses here. I can probably build something, replicate, invest a bit of money, and I'll get a return over 3 years. And then I can just build something for myself. That's what we're starting to see now again, which is taking us back 10 years, really, 15 years, where there was nothing available for people, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it's great. And it's also, every other business that I sort of tested out before this, I was really relying on customers. I was like, you know, look at my product, you need to buy it kind of thing. And now I'm just in this really like comfortable zone where I don't really mind about getting too many clients on, because the amount of money that I've invested into the product is it's going to make me money. And so I've seen a direct return. It's saving me a hire, and then I can also use it for my clients so that I can um, provide better services to them. So it's not something that I'm overly worried about getting heaps of customers on and raising money and all that. It's like, this is going to work for me. And I think that's the best kind of product to make.
Yeah, a product that adds value to us is, in the end, that's where a lot of products start. You look at Slack; it was built for a group that was wanted to build a product just for them, and then it became a commercial product. So it's what is your plans? Is it commercialized, just internalized for yourself? What are you thinking? Or just test, engage, and see where it goes, really, and experiment, like
Yeah.
you said. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it should be fully ready by next week. And then I'm going
yeah,
to start using it to manage all
mhm,
my
mm,
partnership arrangements. And
yeah,
then also going to start onboarding my partners as well. And
yeah,
what's really interesting is I actually have clients that are doing work overseas. And I was like, great, I can take this model overseas and start doing it in the US and stuff straight away because they have clients and partnerships in the US. And I'm like, I'm going to start managing them from a very early stage in the journey. It's great.
In the end, once you get it in the hands of people, you're going to get feedback and you continually iterate. The product will never stand still; it will always evolve. That's the reality of anything we build in software. It can stand still for a little while, but if you want to continue to drive value and grow it, we have to keep investing into it. In terms of new customers, have you had conversations with customers yet or clients yet in your world, or are you just building it for you and then going, okay, this is what I've got. Let's
Uh,
this will make this work.
Funnily enough, I guess
Yeah,
like the software developers that I'm
yeah,
using, they
yeah,
will be a
yeah.
client. So
Okay.
they
Yeah,
are building it in
yeah.
mind that they are
Sure.
also wanting this product.
Got it.
And then, yeah, there's a few other clients that
Yeah,
I have shown what it can do, and they're like, great. And
yeah.
a lot of them say, okay, cool, you can use the platform for my
Mhm.
partnerships, but can you manage it? So that's a service of
Okay, so
itself.
managed service around it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
So
fascinating what
it's good.
opportunities it can open up. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really
yeah.
good because then as soon as, I start getting in money from clients, I can put that money straight back into the product and make it better.
In terms of building a product, if someone's out there that's in a service business, what would you recommend if they've got problems or ideas? Jump on Replit, have a play. What was your process? How did you get to Replit in the first place?
Replit, I got to just because I have had a lot of different business ideas before, and you can pretty much get out the full idea and platform and start showing people by using Replit. Like it's not something you could go to market with, but it's something that you could test out the idea. So that's why I used it. If you have a service-based business, I would just say, just ask yourself, what are you doing manually? Or what are you using multiple expensive tools for? And could I put this all together and create something for myself? Or next time you go to hire, could I actually just create something instead of making this hire? Um, so yeah, that's essentially what I did.
This is
And
yeah, got it. Now, Danny, I know you've touched a few things. You've been a part of Startmates, alumni. You're just engaging in the world of startup, as well as Blackbird stuff. What encouraged you to do these things, and did you learn much from these, and what have you taken into your business itself?
yeah, of course. So I didn't have any connections or background in the world of startup. I didn't really even know what a startup was. I just knew that I wanted to do a business and then have been thrown into the startup world. I got recommended to do Blackbird by somebody, and then I did it, and I realized, oh wow, this is a great way to make connections with investors and people so far ahead of you, and then also people around you that are doing great things. And then also I did Startmate after that, which was the same sort of thing. I got
Hmm.
to meet all these great people in a very short period of time, test out my idea, and having the branding of Startmate and Blackbird just on my profile on LinkedIn has been really beneficial to when I reach out to people. It gives me that little bit of credibility.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
it's always
if
have a
they
bigger
looked,
name behind you. Yeah, it's good.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, very good.
yeah. Otherwise, like looking at my LinkedIn, you would just see that I was in the legal industry and then the dental industry. And you
Yeah,
might be like, why is this person reaching out to me about
yeah,
software? You know?
yeah. No, that's fair. That's good piece of advice in terms of just if people are looking to get some exposure and different, maybe you're part of the Startmate community. And I know you work out of Stone and Chalk, and you're part of these connections and these groups. How do you find these places in terms of the startup world with a lot of people very early or some a little bit further ahead? It's good to network and connect if you're going to be starting businesses or being around those ecosystems.
Yeah, of course. So I am in Student Talk today because they are wonderful and they've let me use their meeting room. But usually I work from a wellness center called Saint, which is like this private wellness center. There's co-working, gym, and then also a bathhouse. And so when you're in these environments, you're mostly with people that are doing their own thing or businesses or are quite successful at what they've done. So you're constantly around this like amazing energy. You're meeting all these new connections, and then you're also forming that connection over something other than just drinks or awkward working spaces. It's this very like community vibe. We do, breath work, Pilates, and but you're all there because most people there are doing their own business or high achievers in their industry. And then you also talk about that while you're doing all this wellness stuff.
Yeah, it's not a bad environment. It sounds like a great place to be a part of, and it's not just work. We need some sort of look after ourselves and
Yeah.
breath work. Fascinating. Yeah, that's really cool. Whereabouts is Saint? What part of Melbourne is it?
They have a
Yeah.
few different places.
Okay.
So there's one
Yeah.
in South Melbourne that I
Yeah.
go to.
Yeah.
And even last night, like we did a book club and it was on atomic habits. So
Mm-hmm.
you're
Yeah.
getting in the
Good book.
room, you're talking, yeah, it's amazing. And all these people are wanting to go there to
Mm-hmm.
connect. Like you're kind of paying to go there to connect to the right people. And then
Similar
there's a lot
mindset,
of,
similar thinking, growth mindset. Yeah, that's really nice to hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of like
Yeah.
business has come from that in
Mm.
itself.
And I, and then when you go back to the point of you develop your product with Replit, how did you go about picking or finding a developer? I'll be interested to understand how you did this. 'Cause
Uh,
it's always a fascinating piece for people and how they approach this process.
I actually
Yeah,
have known them
yeah,
for
yeah,
maybe over a
yeah.
year,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I got to meet them. They
Mm-hmm.
spoke at an event,
Mm-hmm.
and then I reached out to them after and was like, "Oh, I just
Mm-hmm.
had multiple failed businesses. Um, sort of, what's your advice?" Because they spoke on stage about how they failed multiple times and then obviously
Mm-hmm.
have found success.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just kept in touch over the last year or so, and I went
Mm-hmm.
to them with a few different ideas, and each time they were like, okay, and sort of was like, this is good, but you
Yeah.
know, and then this latest idea, I went to them, and they're like, yep, this is it. We want to be a client. This is it, and that's how it formed. So it wasn't. I guess I didn't really have to make the decision because I
Mm.
formed a relationship over a
Yeah,
long period
it's
of time with these people.
a nice one.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Oh, who we trust. And effectively we go to network who we trust, who we know, reach out to people. That's generally how we find who we work with. Anyway, and you mentioned
yeah,
referral, and that's why referral, the product you're working in, referral, client referral, is powerful. What is
it's
it?
so
I
powerful.
think it's 8 or 9 times more likely to pick a referral. I'm picking numbers out of the top of my head, but it's something I've heard from statistically rather than someone we don't know. So
Hmm.
anytime you receive a referral, the likelihood of conversion's a hell of a lot higher. So
Yeah.
there is a lot of opportunity for people in service or anything to work within these frameworks. So in terms of competition in your world, have you looked in the market and seen what sort of competition there is in this product? Or are you not too concerned just building it for you at this stage?
It's funny because
Yeah.
yeah, when we went to build
Yeah.
out the products, I had those conversations and they were like, "Oh, what about competitors and what
Mm,
will the investors think? Is this something different enough?" I said, "I don't need
mm,
investors. I'm just going to use the money that I get from my own clients to
yeah.
reinvest in the product. And
Yeah.
I don't care if the investors don't like it. I don't care about the competition. I'm just building it for me.
Being for
At
you,
the
yeah.
moment, there's nothing else on the market that I want to use. and I know that you want to use it, and you want it, and my other clients want to use it, and that's
Mhm.
great, and that's enough.
That's a big starting
So
point for. It's sometimes we can overextend, and everyone's trying to build a unicorn, and that's their
yeah,
intent. And not many will succeed. That's the reality. And doesn't matter if you raise money. And I think people treat raising money as success, but yeah, I've seen a lot of businesses that have raised a lot of money in my time that have gone under quite on the other end. So yeah, there's no
yeah,
guarantees just because you raise money it's success. I think it's all about customers and revenue. That's how
yeah,
business succeeds. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I'm really focused on making it the best for my customers, and then using that money to
mhm,
fund the product, which just makes more
yeah.
sense to me than, it doesn't give me any motivation if I got
Mhm.
$300,000,
Mhm.
$500,000, then
Yeah,
I would just spend it on something else. Whereas I'm getting in the money and then I'm spending it back on the product. Just
yeah,
makes
no,
more sense
brilliant.
this way.
That makes sense. Um, Danny, thank you for joining on the DevReady podcast. Love to catch up in, let's say, 6, 12 months to see how the process has gone once you've launched
Awesome.
and get some engagement with clients and understand. Well, let's track you through this journey because it is raw, it's early, and it's just for you. But I'd love to see how it evolves and what you've learnt across the journey once you start getting in the hands of others. So it'll be really good to connect.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me on.
I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
You too.